Hello, my dear students. Welcome to the subject of social science for the class 10th English medium. Chapter is 13 Manufacturing Industries, and as I told you last time that this is a very big chapter, so I am dividing it into two parts. So this is the second part. For the first part, please refer to my channel, that is Vitan Bora, presented to you by Vitan Sir. This time we will start with the chemical industries. Chemical industries are basically divided into two parts. The first one is the organic chemicals. The second one are the inorganic chemicals. Now, the organic chemicals could be petrochemicals, and then from the products of petrochemicals, artificial fiber, artificial rubber, colors, etc. Many products are created out of organic chemicals. Next are the inorganic chemicals. They are used in phosphoric acid, nitric acid, caustic soda, then the insecticides which we use for the chemicals used in the fields, farms and agriculture. So these are the inorganic chemicals. Let us understand this chemical industry in detail. First part of the chemical industry is the chemical fertilizer industry.
Put simply, fertilizer is plant food. It can be natural or deliberately put into soil by people. Fertilizer contains different kinds of nutrients that are essential for plants to grow. Ever since people started farming plants for food, thousands of years ago, they've had to manage the quality of soil on the land. When soil contains lots of essential nutrients, crop plants can grow fast and produce large yields. But when we harvest crops and then take them away and eat them, we take the nutrients too. So after years of growing plants, the soil can't support crops very well, unless we replace the nutrients using fertilizer. Most fertilizers contain nitrogen and phosphorus, though some contain other useful elements like potassium. They can be organic or inorganic. Organic fertilizer contains carbon, and an example of an organic fertilizer is manure. Inorganic fertilizers can take many forms, such as ammonium phosphate, which can be in a crystal or a powdered form. Since we learned how to make fertilizers efficiently on a large scale, we've been able to grow many more crops, and therefore the human population has risen dramatically. There can be problems with putting too much fertilizer into a natural system, and some of the problems with fertilizers are explained in other videos. So, a fertilizer is a plant food that contains nutrients such as nitrogen and phosphorus, and we use it to grow our crops bigger and faster so they produce more food.
The first chemical fertilizer factory of India was established in 1906 at Ranipet in Tamil Nadu. Let me add a detail here that Ranipet was once the most polluted city of the whole world. Once, it may or may not be right now, but it was once due to the establishment of the chemical fertilizer factory. The development of this industry started when Fertilizer Corporation of India started its factory at Sindri. So the Fertilizer Corporation of India was established and it started developing this industry in India, and the first factory of this corporation was at the Sindri. This industry is basically centered in the states like Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh, Punjab and Kerala. In Gujarat, the main factories of chemical fertilizers are located at Kalol, Kandala, Hazira, Bharuch, Vadodara, etc. cities. Usually these are the cities with the maximum pollution in Gujarat. Next, we will talk about the plastic industry. Now, plastic is something which we already know, but it still understanding it better is good. It is known as the sunrise industry. Actually, plastic is so versatile content, although it has many hazardous effects, but still it is increasing in its use due to two reasons. Number one, plastic is waterproof, and second thing, it can fit into any mold. So basically being waterproof and being converted into any kind of a shape or size makes it very useful, and therefore it is known as a sunrise industry. They are trying to say that with the invention of plastic there was a new sun rising in the world. It is used in packing materials, textiles, building construction, vehicle manufacturing, electronics, etc. Today, there is nothing else, nothing in which plastic may not be used. Important centers producing plastic are Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, Bengaluru, Vadodara, Vapi, Kanpur, Coimbatore, and Chennai.
This is the story of three plastic bottles, empty and discarded. Their journeys are about to diverge, with outcomes that impact nothing less than the fate of the planet. But they weren't always this way. To understand where these bottles end up, we must first explore their origins. The heroes of our story were conceived in this oil refinery. The plastic in their bodies was formed by chemically bonding oil and gas molecules together to make monomers. In turn, these monomers were bonded into long polymer chains to make plastic, in the form of millions of pellets. Those were melted at manufacturing plants and reformed in molds to create the resilient material that makes up the triplets' bodies. Machines filled the bottles with sweet, bubbly liquid, and they were then wrapped, shipped, bought, opened, consumed, and unceremoniously discarded. And now here they lie, poised at the edge of the unknown. Bottle 1, like hundreds of millions of tons of his plastic brethren, ends up in a landfill. This huge dump expands each day as more trash comes in and continues to take up space. As plastics sit there being compressed amongst layers of other junk, rainwater flows through the waste and absorbs the water-soluble compounds it contains, and some of those are highly toxic. Together, they create a harmful stew called leachate, which can move into groundwater, soil, and streams, poisoning ecosystems and harming wildlife. It can take bottle 1 an agonizing 1,000 years to decompose. Bottle 2's journey is stranger, but unfortunately no happier. He floats on a trickle that reaches a stream that flows into a river, and a river that reaches the ocean. After months lost at sea, he's slowly drawn into a massive vortex where trash accumulates, a place known as the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Here, the ocean's currents have trapped millions of pieces of plastic debris. This is one of 5 plastic-filled gyres in the world's seas, places where the pollutants turn the water into a cloudy plastic soup. Some animals, like seabirds, get entangled in the mess. They and others mistake the brightly colored plastic bits for food. Plastic makes them feel full when they're not, so they starve to death and pass the toxins from the plastic up the food chain. For example, it's eaten by lanternfish. The lanternfish are eaten by squid. The squid are eaten by tuna. And the tuna are eaten by us. And most plastics don't biodegrade, which means they're destined to break down into smaller and smaller pieces called microplastics, which might rotate in the sea eternally. But Bottle 3 is spared the cruel purgatories of his brothers. A truck brings him to a plant where he and his companions are squeezed flat and compressed into a block. Okay, this sounds pretty bad too, but hang in there. It gets better. The blocks are shredded into tiny pieces, which are washed and melted so they become the raw materials that can be used again. As if by magic, Bottle 3 is now ready to be reborn as something completely new. For this bit of plastic with such humble origins, suddenly, the sky is the...
Next is the cement industry.
The process of mining involves blasting of limestone and clay from rock quarries by boring and setting explosive. The technology used in this process is modern and efficient. Once the huge rocks have been fragmented, they are transported to the plant in dump trucks or by conveyor belt. The quarry stone is then delivered through chutes to the crusher, where it is reduced to small chunks by crushing or pounding. The proportional mix of different types of clay, Limestone or any other required material is known as pre-homogenization. Each of the raw materials is separated and kept in silos, where it will later be added in specific amounts according to the particular type of cement being produced. Raw material milling takes place in vertical steel mill, which grinds the material through the pressure exerted by 3 conical rollers. Horizontal mills, inside which the material is pulverized by means of steel balls, are also used in this phase. Raw meal homogenization takes place in silos equipped for obtaining a homogeneous mix of the material. In calcination, huge rotary kilns come into play. Inside, at 1400 degrees Celsius, the raw material is transformed into clinker, small dark grey nodules 3 to 4 centimeters in diameter. The clinker is grinded by different size steel balls while it works its way through the mill's 2 chambers, with gypsum being added to extend cement setting times. The cement is then housed in storage silos from where it is hydraulically or mechanically extracted and transported to facilities where it will be packaged in sacks or supplied in bulk. In either case, it can be shipped by rail car, freighter, truck or ship.
Now you can see the picture here. This is one of the factories producing cement. Cement is inevitable in the construction of roads, dams, etc. Bridges, you want buildings everywhere. I don't think in today's era there are any constructions without the use of cement. Yes, there are some traditional construction with wood or we can say chalk using, but cement is almost 99% of the time used as a construction material. India ranks second after China in cement production. It produces about 6% of the world production. Okay, India is a great producer of cement. Limestone, coal, gypsum, bauxite, clay, etc. are the raw materials for the cement industry. The raw materials and the products have more weight, so the cement factories are located where the raw materials are available in abundance. What happens that when these raw materials are available and because they are heavy, if the factory is established far from the source of raw material, the transportation cost is huge. So cement is something which before production is heavy and after production is also heavy. So factories are usually placed somewhere between the source of raw materials and the marketplace. So the minimum transportation is to be done. There is a fairly good development of this industry in Gujarat. Transport equipment industry. Now transport equipment industry basically means the equipments which are used for transportation. So there are 3 transport equipment industries which we are going to study. First is railways, second is road vehicles, and third one is the shipbuilding industry. We will study more about transportation in the next 14th chapter, but right now we are just talking about the industries which include the transportation equipment. Starting with the railways. Railway is something which all of us have must travel at least once in our lifetime. Railway is something which has made our lives so easy. Railway manufacture the equipment of its own requirement by itself. Okay, so railways create their own equipments. For example, the engines, the passenger coaches, the goods coaches, etc. They also give private contracts to other people for the production of these things. There are 3 types of railway engines. Steam engines. Steam engines means they are propelled using the water steam created from the coal heat. So we can also call them coal engines or thermal engines. Second are the diesel engines, and third one are the electrical engines. Now steam engines were in the initial phases of railways. Nowadays they are only for heritage type of trains. Steam engines are not commercially used today. Only diesel engine and electronic engines are used for the commercial purposes. Now they are produced at Mihijam in Chittaranjan Locomotive Works in West Bengal, then Diesel Locomotive Works at Varanasi, and the Tata Locomotive Works at Jamshedpur. So these are the 3 centers for the production of diesel and electrical engines. Passenger coaches are manufactured at Perambur, Bangalore, Kapurthala and Kolkata. So remember the names of these places from this chapter. You could be asked that give one center for the production of the engines or production of the passenger coaches. Next are the road vehicles industries. As you can see, this is the method how a vehicle is created. These are called the conveyor belts. So the cars are the bodies are hang in this conveyor belts, and turn by turn each machinery equipment is fitted into this things. So this is something kind of a revolutionary technology used for the production of cars. Before independence, we used to manufacture cars by assembling its imported parts. Just like today, the mobile phones are imported from China and then assembled in India, and they are given the title that made in India. Basically, they are just assembled, they are not made in India. Now the factories manufacturing truck, bus, car, motorcycle, scooter and cycle are established in our country. The road vehicles are manufactured mostly by private sector. India ranks 5th in the world in the production of commercial vehicles. That's a great achievement. Today the vehicles and their spare parts manufactured in India are exported to foreign countries. That means today we are not importers of vehicles, we are actually exporters also. Of course we import, for example, the Bugattis and the Ferraris and the BMWs. Of course no one makes them in India, we import them. But then again, we are exporting Tatas and Maruti cars in the foreign countries also. So we are also the exporters. Apart from them, tractor and cycles are also produced in large quantity and exported in the foreign countries. Shipbuilding industry, the last industry of the transportation sector. This is an ancient industry in India. In recent times, there are centers to build ships of modern style. These are Visakhapatnam, Kolkata, Kochi, Mumbai and Marmagaon, which are in public sector. So these are the centers which build ships. That could be commercial ships, transportation ships, passenger ships. Kochi and Visakhapatnam build the ships of a very large size. Private dockyards fulfill the local needs. For example, in Valsad city also there is a small dockyard which helps in building the ships for fisheries. So private dockyards are also built there to build the ships. We have also started producing helicopters. Now this is something else. Aircraft building units are established at Bengaluru, Koraput, Nasik, Hyderabad and Lucknow. The building of aircrafts for passenger travels has still not started in India. That means we actually build aircrafts but usually for the goods transportation. The passenger aircrafts are usually imported from the foreign nations because we don't have yet the technology or the need to build them in India. Last but not the least, the electronic industry, a very revolutionary, very modern and constantly changing industry which has actually changed the face of not just India but the world. Radio set and telephone industry were established in the year 1905. This can be said to be the beginning of electronic industry in India. The Bharat Electronics Limited, BEL, also sometimes known as BEL, was established in the 1956 in Bengaluru. The motive for establishing Bharat Electronics Limited, that is the BEL, was manufacturing equipments for the Akashwani radio channel and the weather department. For example, the supercomputer of India used for the weather department is something like manufactured by BEL. Today it produces various electronic equipments in collaboration with Indian Space Research Organization. Okay, so BEL collaborates with the ISRO to produce many electronic equipments. This industry has brought a lot of changes in the normal life of the people. Of course, the mobile phones, the laptops, these are the things actually for which we are able to study at home and teach from home to you guys. So certain electronic equipments have actually changed the way of life of people. It has changed our lifestyle and also the national economy. The Bengaluru has become the capital city of this industry. Actually today the Bengaluru is known as the IT hub or the Silicon Valley of India. Software parks, science park and technological parks are established for the development of this industry in Bengaluru. The future of this industry in India is very optimistic. That means Still, for many years to come, India has a bright future in this field if you want to make a career in it. Next, we will talk about the industrial pollution and the environmental degradation. Okay, the industrial pollution and environmental degradation basically means that the pollution caused by industries destroys the environment. How? There are four sources of pollution done by the industries. The number one is the air pollution. Number two is the water pollution. Number three is the land pollution. And number four is the noise pollution. So these are the basically four types of pollutions which occur due to the industrial effluence, industrial waste, industrial processes. If we talk about the air pollution, it is the examples are carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, and many other, for example, chlorofluorocarbon and many other gases cause pollution in the air. If we talk about the water, the industrial waste and polluted rivers are the examples of the water pollution by the industries. Next, land pollution, when we talk about the industries dump their waste into the land, and also when industries throw out their water or they dump their polluted water into the ground, and that polluted water also pollutes the land. Last one is the noise pollution due to the old machineries and the transportation vehicles. The noise pollution is created. Next, we will talk about the remedies to curb environmental degradation. That means how to stop this environmental degradation, or the how to stop the pollution of the environment. The country should make progress. Of course, the industrial development is one kind of a progress, but we should try to make a progress so that we don't destroy our future generations, or our environment should not be destroyed, because human beings depend on our environment, human beings depend on our nature, and if we destroy our nature for our own successes, we will not be there in the future. The amount of pollution can be reduced with proper planning for industrial development. Pollution can be reduced also by selection of the quality equipment and fuel. So if we select good quality equipment for uses, noise will not be made, air pollution, water pollution will be reduced. If we use proper fuel, for example, if we convert from petrochemicals or from petroleum to solar energy or wind energy or water energy, we can create a pollution less energy. The air pollution can be curbed through filters, scrubbers, precipitators, etc. That means when our chimneys emit the polluted air in the atmosphere, at that time we can filter that air. We can use scrubbers to absorb all the pollutant particles, or precipitators which remove the pollutant particles from the air and then emit the fresh unpolluted air into the environment to remove the air pollution. Water pollution can be prevented by releasing industrial effluents after proper treatment. Actually, by law, the industries are supposed to clean their water before emitting it into the environment, which actually no one does. But if laws are made stricter and they are enforced with power, then maybe we can actually reduce the environmental pollution. Industrial water can be purified after the due treatment. So my dear friends, in this tutorial we studied about the chemical fertilizer industry, cement industry, plastic industry. Also we studied about the transportation industry, for example, railways, roadways and the shipbuilding industry, then electronic industry. Then we studied how industries pollute the environment and what can we do for the purpose of solving the problem. Next time I will come forward with the next chapter. Till then, stay tuned, stay home and stay safe.